Fire, 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 fire.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Josh. I started a podcast, actually started a business called Econix. And from there, I wanted to expand my brand. So I started a podcast in January called Econix Talks. So from there, pretty much what we do is we highlight different entrepreneurs and we talk about investing topics. So when it comes to, running a business, I've had people that talk about branding. I've had, people that do real estate. And one thing I can say about that is running a podcast has given me a huge platform and an opportunity to connect with so many people from all over the United States that I didn't think was possible. When I was in Africa, I was able to do a podcast over there in a barbershop that I got.
Nice. I saw that.
What part of Africa?
It was Ghana, actually.
I was in Accra, and
Hey.
it was real humbling, man. It was a great experience for me.
Was that your first time?
Yeah, that was my first time. All
right, so before you go into that, I just want to know, like, what your perception was going over there, what you expected to see, and what you actually saw.
So my sister, she's been all over the place. So she's been to Greece or Paris. She's been to Uganda. She's been to Jamaica, all over the place. So that was my first time going over there. And my perception was I didn't know what to expect because I knew I was going to a city, but I didn't know exactly like how much city. So when I got there, I actually understood what the term developing country means. So when I was in Accra, like I noticed like they had like some beautiful buildings like downtown. I mean, like tall, lights everywhere. Like you would think you were in New York.
Right.
But if you would drive throughout the neighborhoods or even on certain roads in the city, it's dirt roads. So then like people would have houses that weren't completely built because everything they do over there is cash. Right. So a lot of people there with Mercedes, a lot of people there with Ranges. Well, guess what? There's no credit system over there. That's all cash. Mm-hmm. So those people actually own those cars. So one thing I learned is like Africa, Ghana, they got money.
Not everybody. Don't be fooled. Not everybody.
Right. They have like no middle class. So it's like you either got a bunch of money or you don't have a lot of money. So, it was just a very eye-opening experience to see that because the people that I went over there with, they were – so one of my Morehouse brothers, he's a little bit older than me. He does business over there. And he had been staying over there for like 8 years. So he had acclimated to the culture. He knew where to go. One of his really good friends and business partners, he's Ghanaian. Like he's from that country. Mm-hmm. So I got a chance to do like all local stuff. So I didn't do any tours. I just rode in the car. He was like, yo, this is what it is. This is what that is. And so it was just a really cool vibe because I got a chance to go to the local bars. I got a chance to, hang out with their college students up to like young professionals. So we went everywhere just to experience different parts of the city.
How was those dirt roads for you? How'd you like that kind of traffic?
Oh my God.
Boy, it was like potholes. It was like crank.
The first time I was at a Trotro on a Ghana road, I was like, yo, where are the lights? where are the stoplights? We just going to jump into this?
We went out to, they call it the bush. So like the northern part of Ghana is like the bush. But the part we went to is just the bush. Because it's not the city, so they don't really have a lot of lights.
Right.
We got food off the side of the road. And as crazy as that sounds, in America, that sounds like what? Out the side of the road. But people would literally have something they was cooking up, and we just was like, they were like, yo, let's go get some couscous. I was like, all right, cool. So I ended up, getting food from off the side of the road, with people that were just cooking. And it was really cool. But yeah, there was nothing out there. So I'm like, dang, and we had no reception. It was just, but I was okay because I knew I was with people. Right. But at the end of the day, I went there for that experience.
I love it. So what made you want to start this podcast?
Man, so I'll tell you like my little journey, my path to podcasting. So first things first, I tried to start a YouTube channel. And like I told you, I work full time. So because of that, you know, at the time my job permitted me to do so. Like I was able to, with my schedule, to do YouTube. So every week I would go to the library, the public library, because they actually had some really dope backdrops. And I'm like, you know what? This is free. I got my own equipment. I got my own camera. So eventually I got promoted, and that was like great. But guess what? My schedule changed.
Wow.
So once my schedule changed, then I had to change how I did things. Yeah. So I wasn't able to get to the library, because then I started working like 60 hours a week on top of doing like podcasting. So it was crazy, like my schedule, and I was driving all over the place too. So one of my friends suggested it to me. Actually, one of my branding partners, she suggested that I do a podcast. I was like, man, that's lame. I'm about to do that. And so in January, my co-host Donarell, he hit me up. He was like, bro, we should do a podcast. And I was like, okay, hold on. Let me think about this. Because that was the second time, you know, somebody brought it up to me. And so in January, I told him, I was like, look, bro, if we start this, like we're going 100%, 100 miles an hour. And I said, once we start, like the train moving, I'm not stopping. Because, you know, when I go like hard.
We know you're dedicated.
Yeah. So once I did that, like I had to figure out, you know, like how to podcast, where to host my stuff. And then from there was content, like always creating content. So what I didn't realize was the work that I was putting in was I was doing like a lot. Like I was doing like 3 or 4 episodes a week.
Wow. Yeah, we do one. Yeah, so that was the reason.
So I was doing that. I did that for like 4 or 5 months straight.
Wow.
And you know,
you were getting views? You were getting listeners with all that?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you. So
he's getting there, warming up.
Yeah. So I once I started building the podcast, I started to realize, I'm like, oh snap, like people are actually listening to me.
That's the scary part, isn't it?
Right. It's humbling. It really is. It's humbling. So I'm like, Donarell, like our viewership, our listenership is growing. So we topped out at like 3,500 downloads in a month.
Wow.
And that's like, I mean, some people that's not big, but that's big for me, because I was like, because I didn't know what to expect. I had no like no model. I didn't know.
Yeah, you had no goal.
Yeah, like doing it. So from there, we continued to push, and then I burnt out. I burnt myself out.
Listen, that happens.
Man, so I didn't hit rock bottom, like not in life, but like I hit a wall.
Right.
And
you're like, I don't know what else to put out. We were talking about everything.
Yeah, because like work started to get, you know, busier, or just started to change a lot. And then I started to come up with content. Then I was also trying to do other things with Econix. So it was like, boom, and I crashed. So it was like, okay, Josh, take a step back, reevaluate. And then, you know, from there it was like, all right, now I got it. Now I got a machine going.
And so like Econix, the podcast is basically focusing on like financial health, right? Like how is it specifically to Black people, or is it for anybody?
So this is how it works. Like pretty much like my immediate community is always going to be, you know, Black people, African Americans, because that's who I know. Right. But at the end of the day, like I never want to limit my brand to a culture or skin color or race, because at the end of the day, I mean, there's more white people on welfare than Black people. Mm-hmm. But there are also more white people in America than Black people. So it's not that, you know, I definitely want to limit and pigeonhole myself into, you know, one corner. Right. But like I have, obviously, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a Black man first, and I have a special, you know, Black people have a special place in my heart. So I always want to make sure that, you know, my community definitely, like, they get first dibs.
What has been your most downloaded episode? What are you guys talking about?
Man, you know what's crazy? It was actually, man, this is gonna blow your mind. Okay. So one of my very first interviews with a rapper, his name is Lil Zadi, right?
Oh,
so,
okay.
Right, like out of all of them. But the reason, I'm gonna tell you why I wanted him on my podcast, it was because 1, he's 19.
Oh wow.
2, he's an influencer, and 3, I wanted people to get a very transparent understanding of who he is, the work he put in, because at the end of the day, being a rapper is entrepreneurship. People don't see that, but it is entrepreneurship, because you have to build a brand, you got to put out content, You got to always engage your audience. It's all of that stuff. All that stuff goes into it. It's just you're doing it behind music.
Right.
So he actually dropped a song called Feisty that has over 1 million views on YouTube. And the crazy part is me and him went to church together.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I'm older than him. But
look at God.
Like my little brother. I'm like, what you doing? So I saw him on Instagram and I'm like, bro, let's link up. Let's talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, from there, like once he posted it on his Instagram, like it blew
up. Yeah.
And like even to this day, like I still get views on his. And what I will say about his interview that I enjoyed the most, because he's bought top 3 interviews since I've been podcasting, is that he was so transparent because he told his story and you could tell like he was going through a lot at that particular time. And he was honest about it. So he was letting people know, like, look, I have this, but I'm not really making money right now. Right. He was telling people like honest truth. And I appreciated that he talked about struggles with his mother, talked about struggles in the home. And so for him to give me that, I was very appreciative because if you do podcasts and you interview people, if they don't open up, your interview is crap.
I know.
You know, you have people, you'll ask them straight up questions and they just won't answer it.
You got to Charlemagne them, you know? You
right. They just dance around the question. It's like, dude, like answer the question. So he was very open, and that was one of is the most downloaded episode I have.
What do you think is your main focus when it comes to financial literacy, especially in the African American community? What do you want to get across the most?
So what I want people to understand is that there are so many different resources out here for people. So I'll give an example. Let's say you guys wanted to start a clothing brand for your podcast, right? So
which I told Omar we should do.
Oh my no!
I got merch. I got merch.
See, I told Omar that is the future. But we ain't gonna talk about that on the podcast. We gonna talk.
No. Real quick. Since you're gonna bring it up, real quick. How much are your t-shirts selling?
So right now, you got to get creative, man.
Thank you.
So I'll tell you, and I like to be honest and open about things because I want people to see like you see this, but you got to be able to understand where this actually comes from. So
okay,
one of my coworkers, she actually has a press that she can like iron on stuff. And she actually like believes in my brand so much that she's like, I'll do it for free.
Wow. We need to find one of those friends, Omar. Where's that friend?
So that's one option. Or you could just buy a press yourself and buy all the materials yourself. It's all about what you want out of it. So what that does is you could do pre-sales, and then you can get your shirt sizes already up front and you already know what to buy. So they've already bought the shirts. You just tell them when they're going to get them. So then you go out, buy the materials. You got to press them yourself. Go hire an intern. Go to the local colleges. You know, give them an experience with a local brand that you want to build a brand. So if you get creative like that, you can really drop your price, and then you can really help people out. You don't have to pay $50 for a t-shirt. Like I'm selling mine for $10.
That's amazing. And I totally distracted you from your response. I'm so sorry. So again, I will ask this question. What is your main goal when it comes to financial literacy in the African American community?
So when it comes to the actual the example I wanted to break down was resources. So most people say, well, I don't have access to capital. I don't have access to this. I don't have access to that. So at the end of the day, what people need to understand is if you take care of your financial responsibilities, which is making sure you have a decent credit score, making sure that, you know, you pay your bills on time. And if you do that, you can leverage that to get access to capital. Like I said, back to the t-shirt thing, let's say you guys want to start that and you guys, you know, were financially responsible. You could get a loan for $100,000 cash in a week. Like most people don't know that you can get that kind of access to capital in a week, $100,000 wired to your bank account. And you sitting there looking at like, I got $100,000. But what I also want to instruct people is just because you can get access to that capital doesn't mean you need it. Just because the bank is saying, or a loan officer is saying, I can give you $100,000 doesn't mean you need $100,000. Don't over leverage, because at the end of the day, you have to pay it back. Also, when you do that, you need to have a plan before you do that. So you got to have a plan A to pay it back. You got to have a plan to make money and have a business model that will be profitable. So once you can build out that model and you have a system in place that's going to say, all right, I'm going to get this type of return every month, and you can take care of your debt service, then you need to start looking at, all right, where do I get the money?
So you basically got to Shark Tank yourself before you.
Pretty much. I mean, but it's so common because people do this everywhere. But, you know, in the Black community, we don't know because we don't read as much as we should. A lot of our
can we pause that for a second? Seriously, we do not read as much as we should. Like, everything they don't want you to know literally is in a book or a pamphlet or online in a blog.
It's like on Google. And I read a lot. Like, I have a comic book right here in front of me. You know, like comic books right behind me.
Yeah, I see you're a huge fan.
Yeah, huge fan. I got Malcolm X's book right in front of me. So it's like you gotta be able to educate yourself, because am I learning anything from my comic books? No, but what it does allow me to do is have an escape. It allows me to feed my mind creativity. So that way, even if I'm thinking about content, I'm still in the creative space because I'm not in the world. I can escape through other people's creations, if that makes sense. Yeah. So then it comes to, like, you know, I have investment comics. So if you look back here, I have that's the first issue of Black Panther from 1977.
Wow.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, can we buy that from you?
I'm picking that one up. But like, people don't even know, like, the first appearance of Black Panther in a comic book that was like a really good condition. It was auctioned off for $90,000.
Wow.
I know that. I know. I'm hip to what comic books can sell for, man.
So it's like what? It's mind blowing that what you can make money off of. So it's not like, oh, I just got a comic book. It's like, no, this is something I can give to my kids one day. And I don't have kids yet, but, you know, God willing, if I'm ever able to, you know, have kids, like, this is something I can give to my son and say, hey, like, in 20 years, this is going to be worth even more than what I bought it for. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, like, those are the types of things that people need to understand, creative ways to invest. You know, buy and hold. You don't always have to invest into the stock market. People invest in jewelry. People invest. I'll give you an example. Another coworker of mine, she has this table, right, in her living room. So she didn't realize that, you know, how much this table was worth. So her grandmother gave it to her, but her grandmother's grandmother gave it to her, right? So that means, like, you do the timeline on that. It's like, oh, how old is this damn table?
Wow.
So the table was made in like 1800 something. Guess how much that table is worth right now? That's sitting in her living room. $75,000.
Woo.
Wow.
A table, bruh.
He had it appraised.
So what you're telling me is that I need to start robbing people. Just take the tables. Just start stealing tables.
He did not say anything about robbing. He's not condoning illegal activities.
What is condoning is financial literacy.
Yep.
And it's financially literate for me to steal people's tables, apparently.
Right, there you go.
We always got to have that one Omar comment. But I have a quick question. As a millennial, when, you know, you're thinking about dating and money, are you talking about that on your podcast right now?
I have talked about some dating topics. And I've talked about those in my interview. So one couple I interviewed, another fraternity brother of mine who's a business owner, I talked to him about, like, his business and where he started from, because he's been married for a while. And I'm like, well, how is that in your home? Because he had already had kids. He was married with kids when he started his business. And he told me, like, how much of a struggle it was, like how he was working out of his home. He had all of his stuff in his living room and this, that, and the third. So, you know, we definitely talk about, not a lot, but we do touch on it. I would like to touch on it more. I just don't know if my audience would really, like, take to it. But
what? People would love that.
First and foremost, I don't know why you even asking that. Like, you got to pay for anything as, like, a woman. Like, real talk.
I pay for stuff.
For me. But before we let you go, though, you were telling us about a story you had on your podcast about a boo-boo bandit. What is the
Well, I actually got a couple of, I've had some really good stories on the podcast. The first one was the boo-boo. I'll tell you about the boo-boo bandit. So my fraternity brother, he went to one of his properties, and, like, he had to call the sewage people. So he realized, like, oh man, like, the sewer ran over, and he always had problems with this tenant. This is up in Detroit. And so he walks in there, like it's boo boo everywhere. Like, and I was like, bro, I'm like, was this like a one story house? He's like, no, it's like 4 stories. So the boo boo was everywhere. And that's why I was, as an interviewer, I was like trying to get him to talk about it, but he was like, I don't want to talk about that. I say, bro, we need to talk about that. We need to discuss the boo boo bandit. So she messed up something, and it was all on the floor, like,
oh my goodness,
like all over the place.
Say what?
Like all over the home?
Yeah, it was everywhere.
Wait, so what was he mad at this homeowner?
I mean,
I would be.
No, well, he said it wasn't really her fault, but like he tried to explain it like they were using the facilities and it ran over. So it was everywhere, and I was like, dude, you probably had to sell after that.
Ooh.
So basically she went to McDonald's, got the bubble guts.
Busted wide open.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
The whole porcelain got up.
Oh my gosh.
Busted wide open, then he told her to bring it back.
Wait, Josh, I want to know what, real quick. This is the last thing, I promise.
Now you
go Trent talking to you. What quote would you live by? What quote do you live by right now? When it comes to money, especially.
I have so many. The first quote that comes to mind is "What you do for Christ will last." That is like one of my favorite quotes, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, you take care of God, He's going to take care of you. And that's as a believer that that's what I subscribe to. When it comes to, you know, finances, one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. And I'm not sure if you've ever read that, but it has nothing to do with money, but I'm a dreamer, and it has everything to do with that. It has everything to do with the journey, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to have to go left. I never thought in a million years I'll be working for AT&T, a phone company. But like, that's a part of my journey, and there's nothing wrong with that, because guess where I came from? Politics. I went from politics to a private corporation, one of the biggest, you know, private corporations in America. And so at the end of the day, I can also say that the information, the lessons that I've learned in corporate America, taking away from the job that I have been instrumental to learning how to run my own business. So I thank them for that. You know, in spite of the ups and downs and all the drama you got to deal with at corporate America, it's still lessons to be learned. So if anybody, I can't quote anything specific as far as with The Alchemist, because I got them all highlighted in my phone. But like, if you have like time to read, The Alchemist is an amazing book, and it's got quotables for days. Talks about finding your personal legend. And when, you know, if you go on my website, I have quotes on there from The Alchemist talking about finding your personal legend, and it's okay to not know, but it's also, you have to take that chance.
What is your personal website so people the viewers at home can know what it is?
Econix.co. So right now it's linked to my, I have it forwarded to my event, and we haven't talked about that yet, but I have an event coming up, and this was actually, man, I don't know if you guys believe in like when you write things down, like they have to come to fruition.
Yeah.
But you have to put them on paper. Like, I'm big on that. So like, I have like 3 different books. Like, this one is for my finances. This is all money stuff. It's like, how do I balance this, balance that? Then I also have like my book of dreams. So boom. Then I write my goals down in here every single day. And then what happens is things start to change, because you start to check boxes off. You start to check things off, and then you got to come up with new stuff. It's like, okay, well, I've done this. Now I got to come up with new things. So one of the things that I wrote down in here was, I want to host events for Econix, and I want to host an event for entrepreneurs. And so I kept writing it down, but I never actually put any energy behind it. And then one day I woke up, I was like, do y'all curse on y'all podcast?
Sure, why not?
Go ahead, man. This ain't FCC regulated.
I woke up, I was like, yo, I'm doing this shit. And that
was the mildest cuss word.
Right.
We were expecting a big bomb.
To ask permission to have that like 4 or 5 word sentence to end it with one just curse word, but it's all good. I feel you.
But I was like, man, I'm about to do this shit. And I was like, forget all that. I'm doing this. So I called my business partner. I'm like, bro, let's do it. I'm like, I don't care what we have to do, let's make it happen. And now, like, I've acquired all the skills to do everything that I need to do. So like I taught myself how to do Photoshop. So I did the flyer. I did all the stock images for the branding. I did all the videos for the marketing. I did all of that by myself. And now I'm hosting an event this month. So it's just little things like that when you start to write things down, you constantly look at that. And when they're constantly in your mind, you're aware of where you are and you're also aware of where you have to go. So when you look at finances, I talk about this story all the time. Like, bro, my credit card was maxed out. When I started, my credit score wasn't bad, but I didn't know that a maxed out credit card was dropping my credit score. Everything was paid on time, but I was just making the minimum payment. Actually, I was paying more, but I was spending that money too back on the credit card. So I wasn't getting ahead. So once I was able to retool and refocus and understand what I was doing, then I was able to make better financial decisions. So I started to focus and I got my credit card down, and then I was able to look at different things, and I ended up with an Airbnb. So it's like, the journey itself has been beautiful. I've taken some L's, I've had some W's, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not stopping.
We love it, Josh. Thank you so much again for being on our podcast. We just love everything about just people being content creators, and it's a new wave and we support it fully. One more time, just plug your social so everyone knows where to find you.
And your event.
And what else?
And your event.
Okay, cool. So the event's going to be in Tampa, Florida. It's on August 29th. What we're going to be talking about is entrepreneurship and more specifically branding. So how to build a brand, how important that is, where to start. You have to properly build a brand. We're also going to be talking about funding. So how to get funding, what you need to get funding, social media. So not just getting followers, but how to actually convert followers into sales. Because if you have a brand, you need to be able to talk about conversion rates. So if you have 5,000 followers, well, how many of those followers are you converting into dollars? So that, like, social media ads into dollars. And then finally, we're going to have a lawyer on hand to talk about legally how to properly set up your business legally, like what fits where, why you need an LLC over an S Corp for this business, or why you need a C Corp over a sole proprietorship, just different things like that. So it's going to be a really cool event. If you want to follow me, it's Econix, Econix with an underscore at the end. I tried to get the one without the underscore, but somebody got that mug, so I was pretty tight.
I'm sorry.
It's all good because I don't even think they're active on Instagram. That's really cool.
That's the worst, yo. When you have a name and then somebody has it and they're not even tweeting or nothing, like, delete the account.
I was tight, but anyway, follow me at Econix with an underscore at the end. And then that's it, man. I love helping people. I love talking about my journey and really being able to help people understand that no matter what, like, you can do it if you apply yourself. Like, information is so much information is free. You just have to apply it to your situation and then take over. Yeah,
that's the word.
I got a question for y'all.
Oh, he has a question for us. This is our first, Omar.
So I got one quick question for y'all, and I want an honest answer.
Okay, you got like 10 minutes because after this, it's not free on Zoom anymore. Keep going.
That's cool.
You ain't have to say
what would you name this chapter in your life?
Oh. What would I name this chapter?
For me, it would probably be The Incline.
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Why, Omar?
Because things are starting to go my way.
Ooh.
I ain't peaked yet.
Hey.
I've been trying to figure out this season for a minute. I feel like I come up on this season like every couple years now. But I feel like there's like some type of big change coming. So maybe
we're gonna call yours seasons.
Maybe seasons. Boom. No. I feel like right now it's like a fall because it could either go really good or in terms of it could get hot or it could get cold. But I think it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. So let's just call it fall.
There we go. That was my question. I just wanted to throw it out there. I always think that's a very interesting question because you get a chance to see where people are.
Yeah.
Who they are in their journey.
We thank you so much for posing that question. That was awesome.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fire, 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 fire.